Well, Netanyahu responds to Trump's F him remarks. The Feds congratulating Biden. Former Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Friday responded to an interview in which Donald Trump accused him of disloyalty. Wow, as if Netanyahu works in one of his hotels, saying Israel's alliance with the U.S. meant it was important for me to congratulate the incoming president. Whether they, what they're saying in an interview for my book, Trump's Peace, the Abraham Accords and the Reshaping of the Middle East, Trump fumed over a video Netanyahu sent congratulating Biden for his victory. I haven't spoken to him since, Trump said. F him. I highly appreciate President Trump's big contribution to Israel and its security. I also appreciate the importance of the strong alliance between Israel and the U.S., and therefore it was important for me to congratulate the incoming president. Why it matters. Now, opposition leader Netanyahu is waging a continuous campaign to win back the prime minister's office while on trial for corruption. Isn't that something? This guy is the longest serving prime minister in Israel. Being put on trial for corruption, and he wants to get back in the office. It's like here in America, Trump. Anybody can see Trump is corrupt. I mean, he basically tried to overthrow the United States government by trying to get phony votes or have his people declare some kind of emergency, that he would declare an emergency, something in the national interest, so that he can remain in office. Now, that's the kind of stuff you expect from people like Maduro in Venezuela or Putin in Russia. Not the United States of America. You don't expect that kind of stuff here. So, as far as I'm concerned, he should be in prison. Yeah. And the thing about Israel is that it really doesn't matter to them, because whether it's Democrats or Republicans, they both support Israel anyway. So, and whoever is Israel prime minister is going to understand that. So you want to be in the good side of whoever is president of the United States. You don't care whether they're Democrat or Republican, so long as they can lend you support, and at the United Nations too, because sometimes at the United Nations, the U.S. sits in the Security Council, and they can block a lot of stuff that other members may want to put forth that could affect Israel. So, and I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen where certain things are blocked under Obama, or under the last Bush. It really didn't matter whether you're Democrat. But Trump doesn't seem to understand that. He figures that, he helped Netanyahu. He brought the United States Embassy from Tel Aviv. He moved it to Jerusalem. So Netanyahu should be kissing his ring. Well, Netanyahu is his own man. I mean, the man is politically astute. He was able to form coalition, beat out lots of people, been the longest serving prime minister, and still wants to get back into office. Basically, he wants to die in office, as corrupt as he seems to be. And there are people in Israel who really don't give a damn. They are willing to vote for him anyway, just like here in the United States. There are people who are willing to vote for Trump, even though they know that he's trying to turn America into a banana republic, because basically that's what it is, you know, where if you're looking for votes and you calling up different states and you're trying to get people not to count ballots and stuff like that, that's a banana republic. And people who support Trump, regardless of what he says that he won or what have you, no, he didn't win. He lost. And he's been saying that the only way he can lose is if they cheat. Well, that's not true. Usually you can lose because you lost. And lots of people came out and voted against him. Yeah. And now with the Supreme Court, he had three people he put on the court. And I remember during the 2016 election, there was some woman who were for Bernie Sanders, yeah. Pro Bernie. They wanted to vote for Bernie. And they said they will never vote for Hillary. Yep. They say, I remember one woman in particular, she said, I will never vote for Hillary. Okay. So you supported Bernie, but you wouldn't support Hillary. Regardless of what you say, see, the Republicans are not that stupid, because even though some people didn't care for Trump, they held their nose and voted for him anyway, But the Democrats figure, Hillary, they have their disputes with Hillary, what have you, so they stay home. Well, what did that get you? It got you three new judges in the Supreme Court who are about to do away with Roe versus Wade, right? That's the way it looks according to, people in the legal field who seem to be able to read the leaves, the way things are going. They say, yeah, that's what those members, and Trump was saying that all the time. Yeah. But as a man, that doesn't really affect me. But it affects a lot of women, because if you're a woman right now and you in Texas and you find out, I'm pregnant, and I'm pregnant 20 weeks, and you were not even aware. You told me, something going on, maybe hormones, your body, and so forth. Well, you're going to be in serious trouble if you want an abortion, because you ain't going to be able to get one in Texas. And the funny thing about Texas, it's not like Delaware, And the reason I'm picking Delaware is because Delaware is a tiny state. Delaware or Rhode Island, You can just drive through that state. Like when I took Amtrak, one stop, I'm in Delaware. Next stop, I think I was like in Baltimore or something like that. No, not that. Try that in Texas. Look at the map of Texas. My point is, if you're trying to drive out or get out of Texas, a woman, to have an abortion or something like that, let's say you want to go to Oklahoma, where it's still legal. Even though Oklahoma is to the north of Texas, if you live, let's say, you live all the way down the south of Texas, you're gonna be in serious trouble. Because it ain't gonna be that easy to drive out. It's probably gonna take you more than a day, and then you're gonna have to spend money or something for lodging and all that stuff. It's gonna really mess you up. Yeah. So the best thing women can do in Texas, women who are against, is either they can come out and vote, or they stop having sex with men, or especially with Republican men, because since there's a bunch of Republican men who came up with that law, and that's the way you get them, Once Once you stop having sex with them and they see it for real, then they may just about do an about face and change our law, because Texas Texas is not Delaware, where you can just jump over in no time and you could be, you could be in you could be in Maryland, the state of Maryland, or you could be in Washington D.C. Or a little more up, you could be in New Jersey or Pennsylvania. Yeah, it's a huge state, and that's the worst state they pick as an example to come up with such a stupid law, because right now that law is affecting a lot of people, a woman. Yep, a lot of women who wake up one day and realize what the hell is going on. Am I still in America anymore? Yes, you are. You're not in Kansas, but you're in Texas. So my point here is that, so Trump was able to get these three people on the court, right? And that didn't have to be, because Hillary got the popular vote. And there's some people who sat it out, because unlike the Republicans who held their noses and voted for Trump, even though they disliked him, yeah. There's a lady I know from a long time ago, knew her online. She's she's from Chile, but she lives in Montana. And she told me she can't stand Trump. She doesn't like Trump, but she voted for Trump. She can't stand Trump, but she voted for Trump. Yeah. So she came here from Chile. She became naturalized, an American citizen. Voted for Trump. She's in the state of Montana. That doesn't mean anything. You could be a Democrat there and vote. And her rationale was that she voted for Trump because Trump would be against illegal aliens getting health care, and that she has a business and that she's paying taxes and she doesn't want to pay for illegal aliens when they go to the hospital. So I told her, I said, there's a law. I said at one time, yeah, it was different. If you went to the hospital, you didn't have an insurance, they could turn you away. However, you know when that all changed? That was under President Reagan. The president who conservatives look at as well as like their God. And you think, well, maybe they didn't feel that way, like with compared to Donald Trump. Donald Trump is like, I don't know. It's beyond explanation. But the thing is, Ronald Reagan, they see as a conservative, his values and stuff like that. But yet, Ronald Reagan was wise enough to know that if you live in a country as great as the United States and you go to the hospital and you don't have insurance, you should not be turned away. You should not be turned away because you don't have insurance. Let's see if we can stabilize you, bring your vital signs back to the norm, and then we'll talk later and see if we can get payment. Yeah, and that was Ronald Reagan. So I told her, look, Ronald Reagan was the man who signed out into law that if you go to the hospital and you don't have insurance, the hospital can't kick you out. They can't say, well, you don't have insurance. Well, we can't stabilize you. No. But that's how it used to be. Yep, that's how it used to be. You go to the hospital, you don't have insurance, they don't accept you. So when she said that she voted for Trump because Trump wouldn't allow, illegal, no. She doesn't understand. She doesn't understand. There's a law, and the law was signed by Ronald Reagan, the conservative president. So that if you go to the hospital and you look at it as people are human beings, and if you're sick, whether you're here illegal or not, that's not the issue. The issue is that in America, we're going to make sure that you're stabilized. And if you have a family, you can get back to your family. And then we can bother about the bill later. You see? So Trump isn't cut of the same cloth like Ronald Reagan. Totally different. A totally selfish man. Everything is about him. And disloyalty. The fact that he uses the term disloyalty to describe Netanyahu is truly amazing. Because when he says disloyalty, it's like, okay, it's like somebody who worked in his hotel or worked for him over the years and he did a favor. No, if you go back to the time of like Richard Nixon, for example, and I didn't know all this stuff. It's later on I read about it. Yep, I read about it. Nixon definitely did not like Jews. Okay. And I say that because at one time, he put out some kind of a request, and he wanted to know who the Jews are, like in different departments and this and so forth, like up in the hierarchy, working in the United States government, because Nixon was kind of like paranoid. He believed people were out to get him. And he believed that Jews were out to get him. Yeah. However, I read that one night he got a phone call late at night, So Israel is about, I think, 7-8 hours difference in time. And at that time, Golda Meir, the lady, was prime minister of Israel. And Israel wasn't as strong as it is now these days. And the Arabs, they were like surrounding Israel, and they were going to go to war. So this is probably maybe this is like 67, 68, something like that. And she was very worried, and she told Nixon that she needed help. She said, if we don't get help, Israel will be doomed. And Nixon did send in help. Yeah. I don't remember exactly the kind of armaments he sent in, but he did send in help. You see? And I'm saying this because Nixon was a man on record who was paranoid. He believed that Jews in the United States government, in the upper hierarchy, were out to get him. So he was suspicious. And I read that he told Henry Kissinger that he's the only Jew that he trusted. Henry Kissinger happens to be Jewish. Yeah. So I don't know how Henry Kissinger could have worked for him, but I guess, he was, I think, National Security Director, and then he became Secretary of State, Kissinger, under Nixon. So that's a powerful position. So sometimes people do things because of power. But anyway, so he told Kissinger, "You're the only Jew that I trust." You see. So my point is, regardless of who was president, the Prime Minister of Israel wants to be in a good side, because when there's an issue of the United Nations, and because the United States sits in the Security Council, where a lot of important matters go, and there are only few people, only a few nations, like Russia, China, and so forth. that sit in the Security Council, you need to have a friend there. And if you can have the United States to use a veto, then you're okay. And that's what it really amounts to. So it's not like Netanyahu wants to be a personal friend of Donald Trump. No. Netanyahu wants to do what's good for Israel and the people of Israel, regardless of who is president, Democrat or Republican. So the whole idea that Donald Trump is saying that Netanyahu is disloyal, that's really ridiculous. It got nothing to do with being disloyal. It has to do with who he believes will serve the interests and help Israel. And if you have somebody in Washington as president who could help you out, you don't have to go through all these lobbyists. Once you have the president backing you, that's what's important. And Netanyahu been around long enough to know how to play the game. You see? And Trump is on record. He's on record as saying his family was from from Sweden or something like that, instead of German, because he was afraid that Jews wouldn't rent from some of the houses, the apartments and so forth. So he tried to come across as his family descended from Swedes, Swedes, instead of his grandfather came here from Germany, from Bavaria or something like that. So, so he himself was lying to get in this good side of Jews. So it all depends on how one knows how to play the game. That's what it really comes down to.